and welcome to a new episode of The Value Creators. Today's guest will be Yannick Oswald, partner at Mangrove Capital Partners. Hi Yannick, how are you?
Hi Stefan, thanks for having me.
A real pleasure. So what can you tell us about Mangrove Capital Partners?
Yeah, so Mangrove is a European and Israeli venture capital firm. The firm has been founded in 2000 and since then we're managing approx. $1 billion of assets under management and we're investing out of our sixth fund. We are based in Luxembourg, our HQ is in Luxembourg, so all operations are managed out of Luxembourg. And we have offices in Tel Aviv, Paris, Berlin and Barcelona. And those offices are really to have feet on the ground in some of Europe's key tech hubs.
And you're also a great example for the Luxembourg ecosystem, since you also have your deal makers here in Luxembourg.
Definitely. So our entire operations are managed out of Luxembourg. We're obviously traveling a lot. That's part of the European ecosystem, operating here. But our roots are here and the core of our team is in Luxembourg.
So if we now deep dive into the value creation model you use, what would be the expectations you have before investing into a new business?
Yeah, so let me take a step back just to explain what we do and then how we approach it. So we are a generalist venture capital firm. This means that we invest in tech companies across industries. And if I would have to articulate it in a very simple way, we're essentially looking for products and entrepreneurs that go after massive market trends and just massive market opportunities in general. And in essence, this means we're looking for products that have a wow effect. And a wow effect is mainly products that have an impact on a material impact on the lives of a large population. Our job is it to help entrepreneurs, number one, to find them, but to help them, turn those ideas into epic products. And that's the foundation of what we do. We also back tech companies all over Europe and Israel. And so with that, we are one of the very few truly international early stage venture capital firms. And this really defines, at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs that reach out to us. These are the entrepreneurs that want to have on their cap table an international investor early on with a strong track record and who has a truly international operating and finance experience.
And the expectations before investing?
Yeah, so venture capital is all about outsized returns and consistency, of course. And so we spend our lives looking for those ideas that could generate these outside returns. And we do everything we can to support entrepreneurs to materialize on that opportunity. So what you have to understand is when we look at an investment opportunity and we see around, let's say, 2,500 a year, everyone around the table needs to have the conviction that this idea, this thing, if executed well, can return our funds multiple times. Only then you can, on a consistent basis, generate outside returns. And that's really the core of venture capital. So what do we look at concretely? I think the first point is how big is the vision and the ambition. It's very important to distinguish both of an entrepreneur when he talks to us. The second point is, do we have the conviction that if executed well, this idea can actually be translated into a sustainable business model, and that's also scalable. Another very important point is, can the team articulate that vision properly? And what do I mean by that is, can they get other stakeholders excited? Other investors, the press, future employees, can they create this hype around that? And then also I think another very important point is, how do they think about execution? So either do they have the skills, the core skills to execute against that idea, And if not, how do they think about acquiring or hiring, whatever term you want to use, those skills to build that home run, if you want so.
And let's also not forget the end user in the end.
100%. So when we look at, we are very much product-led, meaning often I think we invest just on an idea, but we focus on how the team thinks about the product, or we invest post-product launch. Revenues are important, but they're just a result of a good product. If you have an excellent product that people love, people will pay for it. And so at the end of the day, that's our focus. Is this a product that will be used by a massive amount of people at the end of the day?
And concretely, how do you create value in those target companies, and how do you measure it?
I think there's one single KPI for us, that's to create value and returns to our LPs. And so we are very active on an operational and financial side to help our founders to create that shareholder value. On a more qualitative side, I'd say we as I mentioned before, we see ourselves as cheerleaders of the founders. So really available, we have a 24/7 relationship with them. I often call that a WhatsApp relationship. So they call us up on every kind of topics, and could be team management, could be fundraising, could be strategy setting, could be international expansion, etc., etc., etc. For us, our KPI is how much do they value our advice and how much do they, can we be helpful on a day-to-day. And I think one of my founders recently, we closed just a round for them, and the company is growing tremendously. And the founder called me, a co-founder of the business. And I think if our founders value our advice to such an extent, we did our job right until now. Let's see about the future. So let me give you a couple of concrete examples. I'd say in that case, this is a company, it's active in the data analytics space. What does that mean? Data is really exploding this decade. There's a lot of noise about AI, etc. It's all related. At the end of the day, this is the decade of data. And with that, there are tons of issues now in the data stack of companies across industries. And this team went out and built the best software to basically analyze the entire data stack of enterprises to tell people before there is an issue, well, you might want to have a look at that data set, because if this issue continues, there might be a much bigger issue later on. So that's proactively and reactively. If there's an issue, they can tell you exactly where in your data stack there's a problem. And so that company is growing tremendously well. We launched it last year. We went from 0 to $1 million revenues within, I think, 9 months, which I think we have rarely seen before in the software enterprise space. And here we stepped up and basically are very active in helping building a sales organization that can sell internationally out of their office in Paris today. And so what do we do is obviously we share our metrics, our KPIs, etc., how to analyze, to track such an organization. And number two, we put them in touch with, we sat down actually with one of the founders of one of our companies that did it before. We IPO'd the business 2 years ago. And that founder sat down with them an entire day and obviously is in touch with them for any advice they might need. So that's, and we're going to track that meticulously over the next 6-8 years. So that's one concrete example. Another example is a company we seed funded. It's called the Bank of London. It's the 6th clearing bank in the UK. We got the license in the UK, launched operations of the business. The business is doing extremely well, and now we're obviously expanding, to Europe, to the American continent. So we're very actively helping with just getting the European license in Luxembourg and setting up operations here. There might be one other example. And then I'm just currently working with a company on the fundraising process. And that means, the company's doing well. We pre-seed funded it. They raise a round. We're raising another round now. We're in a difficult market environment. So for me, it's like when I get up in the morning I sit down, go over the list of potential investors, review their fundraising deck with them. And so we are very active in the fundraising process to help their business get to the next stage. To summarize, essentially, as you can see, we're very active on the operational side and on the financial side. And it all comes down to help founders create shareholder value and by building amazing businesses.
As you promised, the wow effect is there. Thanks a lot for sharing these examples and your insights, Yannick, and hope to see you soon again.
Thank you, Stefan. It was a pleasure.
Goodbye.